Welcome to our custom space. Where'd you say?
Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel Custom Carving and Epoxy UK, and this is going to be another bloom video, but I think I've gone a little bit mad this time because I'm going to try and get 5 colours in and do a slightly different design as well. Whether it works or not, we won't know till the end, but I just wanted to keep on pushing the boundaries of the bloom to see what we get. And those of you that have watched the channel know that sometimes we get some amazing results, sometimes we get some failures. So I've got some resin mixed, done about 6 ounces. This mould holds 5. I'm already at 33 degrees, so we're almost ready to sort of start pouring. And I've got some gold that I'm going to be using. I've got this sort of chameleon-y blue that I'm going to be using. I've got some copper that I'm going to be using. And I've gone for some fuchsia as well, which is pink. And for the white this time, I'm going to use a Supreme White paste rather than my usual ocean white that I use from SPLASH Resin. So because we're nearly at temperature, and I've nearly forgot, look, we're at 33.5. I wanted to get to about 35. I just wanted to get prepared. I've got piping bags ready at the side as well, because there's going to be a lot of piping in this if I can pipe correctly. And this is partially going to be to test my piping skills as well. You'll see when we get to the design, but hopefully it's going to be an exciting bloom. So make sure you stay till the end. That way you're going to see the best results, hopefully what we're going to get from this. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It's the only way that we can keep growing on the channel. And if you can, join memberships. It's a great way to support the channel, and also it gets you into that free prize draw every month to win a piece of my art wherever you are in the world. So again, great way to support the channel, and thank you so much to everybody that's subscribed so far. We've got over 7,700 now. I can't wait to see what we can do when we get to sort of 10,000. And just to remind you all as well, we also do lives with different resin creators every Tuesday at 8 PM UK time. So make sure you tap into one of those. So all I'm going to do is get ready at this point. So I want these to be quite light in the micas. So I'm just going to use 2 of these standard mica scoops for each. 1. And the problem is with your micas, as you've probably seen in some of my previous videos, you can go too heavy. And if you go too heavy, you get the dreaded blobs. So that's my gold. Get that to one side. And I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try and combine a 3D bloom and a canna lily sort of bloom in the same coaster. And those of you that have seen the channel know that I'm not particularly good with my piping skills. So it's going to test me to the max. But I think that's the great thing about resin for me. It's about pushing those boundaries, seeing what you can get. And you will get failures, but you will also get some fantastic results as well. And I don't know if I'm going too ambitious with this design, but I wanted to give it a go. It's been going through my head for a little while, and I just thought, what kind of effect can I get by doing it? And I want to make sure that all of these micas, hopefully when I mix them, are going to be about the same consistency. Otherwise that will cause issues as well. So this is quite a technical bloom, I suppose. And if we get the results that I'm hoping for, or anything like it, it could be one of my best blooms, which is what I'm hoping for. But as we all know on this channel, things can go very wrong as well. So we will see what happens. But again, not overdoing it with the micas. You can see in those pots, it's literally 2 scoops, 2 of these level mica scoops of each. And I think that's the key. I think you can go very heavy on your micas, and they're all a slightly different consistency depending on the colors and everything else. So just try not to go too heavy. And then for the pigment paste, I'm not going to need a lot. Look at that for a white. Because again, you can go too thick on your white, guys. And again, that causes you issues, which you don't want. So I'm just stirring it around in the pot. And literally, I'm going to see whatever's left on the stick. Should be enough, because you don't want it too opaque. And I'm going to try that and see what it looks like. So that is the Supreme White from newly branded Apex Resin, not just for you onlineuk.com. So again, if you want to get some of that, get yourself on there. Now the resin at the minute, And I've been toying in my head with this. We're at 36 degrees, so we're good to go. So I'm going to pour about halfway, I think, in these cups, because I don't need a lot, but I just want the colours. And if I get spare, as you guys know, I've always got a drip mould what I'm going to use the spare in. I think the most I'm going to need is of that white. So I'm going to go a little bit over. Again, because I've got that white pigment in there as well, I want it to be slightly diluted. So that, out of 6 ounces, I've still got 3 left, and I know this holds 5, so that should be fine. So now I'm not going to put a centre in this one either. I've been toying in my head whether to paint these in with the design I've got in mind or pipe them. And I'm going to go for the piping, which is interesting for me because I'm not the best piper. There we go. I would say that mould is now pretty much half full at this point. And I started off with an ounce more than what it takes. So we will see what happens. So just torching off the bubbles. And I need to re-level my surface. I'm not even sure if it's level. I'm hoping it is, because if it's not, this is going to completely ruin this effect. And you'll see why when we get to the piping. So that's that. First one I'm going to mix up is that white, just to make sure it's the right kind of consistency that I want. And I don't want it too opaque. And I think I can just about still see through that. So it's still kind of that skim milky effect that I want. But hopefully with this white, it's a stunning white. And I know that sounds strange, but different whites give you different colours. So that's going to go straight into this piping bag at the side. And that will be my white. There we go. And as I say, I've never done this before, so it might not work. It might. My favourite kind of experiments, the ones that I've never tried before, just to see what happens. This is that fuchsia pink. And again, you want to mix it around so that your colours are thoroughly mixed. Otherwise, you're going to get those horrible mica pockets where it's not mixed in and you just get a powdery patch, which looks horrific in your finished result. And when you're going for something as technical as this, the last thing you want is something as basic as not mixing your micas properly to ruin the end result. And I'm also using my newer camera for this as well. So I'm just hoping nothing goes wrong with the editing part, but we will see. But there we go. There's that lovely fuchsia. And that's going to go into the second piping bag. But as I say, with these colours, I don't think I'm going to need as much. We will see when it gets to piping. All of this at this point is guesswork. It's me having fun and it's me experimenting, which is what resin is about. So don't get too stressed if things don't go right. Just have fun. It's as simple as that. This is that copper. And I'm hoping we're going to get a real mix of colours in this, but we might not. So again, just mixing it all around, making sure there's no unmixed parts. And I think I may have left this a little bit too long with the resin because I was doing something else, got distracted, and then came back to it. But I'm hoping that it's still going to work because, believe it or not, I know most of my experiments seem a little bit crazy and that no thought's gone into them, but there's been a lot of thought go into this. It's been racking my head the past few days, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it and see what happens. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's only resin, and we all know that resin sometimes does what it wants. So there's the copper. Now for the blue. And these colours I'm hoping will go well together, but again, it's all an experiment at this stage. And this is sort of a chameleon-y blue. So just mixing it around. And again, every mica powder you use has a different consistency. And I found that some sink more than others. So again, play around with your micas, find out which ones work for you and which ones don't. There we go. So that is that one. And speed is going to be of the essence now because I know that that resin is up to temperature. So it's whether I can get this design in and still get it to bloom is the question. Always get a load of static as well, which is not what I want. But there we go. And then finally, last colour is going to be the gold. And it's quite a bright gold, this one. So hopefully that will come through in the finished piece. Lovely bright gold. And you can get some golds to me that are more bronze, but I love the bright ones. I think they really stand out and give you a shimmer and a sparkle, which, let's face it, is what gold is meant to do. So here we go. And let me know in comments if there's anything you want us to do on videos. Let me know. This is your channel as well as mine. I want us to grow together. I want to do experiments that you want to see. You know, it's not just all about what I want. And some of you love the blooms. Some of you hate the blooms. That's fine. So again, just trying to get all of that gold out into there. And then we should be good to pretty much go to the most exciting, but also the most daunting part of this project, which is going to be the piping. And I always try and pipe my blooms now, just because I tend to get a better effect from piping than I do using those little cups. So this is my white. And be careful that it doesn't squeeze out the back when you do this, because trust me, I've done it before and you don't want that. So there's my white. And I'm going to deliberately try and snip this a little bit smaller so I get a smaller flow coming out than what I normally would. And hopefully you'll see why when it gets to the piping. And as you can see, the rest of these colours have probably got, I don't know, half as much, because I think I still want the white to stand out on this. So there's that fuchsia. Again, lovely colour. And then I've got to decide what order I'm going to do these in as well, which is going to be the next issue. So here's that copper. And I think I'm going to do the copper and the gold actually next to each other, because it'll be an interesting blend, hopefully, of the two. This is that chameleon-y type blue. And I just hope my hands don't let me down and start shaking all the way through this project. So there's that chameleon-y blue. And then finally, the gold. And I think I'm going to need the least of the gold for the design, but I still want it in there because I love a bit of gold, a bit of shine. Look at that, stunning. So, ready for the madness to start, which is going to be the piping. And I'm just hoping my surface is level, otherwise it's going to ruin everything. So, first thing I'm going to go around with is the white. And the idea, I want a spiral in the middle, like a traditional bloom. And I want circles around the edge, like canna lily blooms. And I want to incorporate all of them together and see what happens, you know? So here we go. First colour. My hands are feeling okay at this point. Oh. And this is harder to do on camera as well, I think. So I'm just going to snip off a small bit, hopefully, if I can get it off. Doesn't help that my scissors didn't want to be particularly sharp. I need to sharpen them. And it's starting to flow reasonably well, I think. So I'm going to start at the edge here and try and get some circles. And I know bits of this look heavier than the other, which they will be. But again, this is part of the fun for me. It's just piping in different designs and seeing what happens. So I know there's some different consistencies there, and they're not perfect, but I'm happy. Now I'm going to go in with a spiral. And I want it to go all the way to the edge to hopefully mix them in together like that. So actually I didn't need that much white after all that. Next I'm going to do the pink. In fact, before I do that, some of the heavier bits I can already see. So all I'm going to do is pull them round, hopefully to prevent the B word, like so, in each of these circles. And whenever you do this, it is going to move your resin around. But as long as I'm doing it in a circular motion, should hopefully still keep that design there. And I don't know. And as it moves, it's going to go completely different anyway. I think that was the biggest risk of the blob there. So hopefully just by doing this, it's taking some of that risk away. And again, let me know what you think. Have I just ruined my design here? It's possible. And then in the center as well, I can see that one in the center, which looks a bit heavy. So I'm just going to move it around like that. So that is my first design. And as you can see, the circles aren't perfect anymore. It's okay. It's a flower. Doesn't have to be perfect. So now the pink or the fuchsia. There we go. So again, I'm going to try and get a circle in each of these. I think the key is just trying to move it round whilst you're doing it. And the fuchsia for me, I don't know about you guys, but when you use pinks, it's always a little bit more faint. So I'm going to try and... I haven't snipped the end off properly. Now I have. It's always a little bit faint, so I think you almost need more in. And again, I'm just trying to make sure there's enough in there to hopefully create the effect that I'm looking for. Just following that initial circle around, trying not to overlap if I can, and then just wiping it in between. And I'm really hoping that we get some cool effects from this, because it could all go wrong. But you don't know until you try. And as I say, my piping skills, I know they're not the best, but hopefully they're good enough to get the effect that I'm looking for here. And I want them to not be perfect circles anyway, because as they move in the resin, it's going to move around, but I'm hoping that gives us a natural flower-like effect anyway. But I'm just trying to keep these amounts reasonably even as well. Almost going around that circle twice. And then I'm going to be adding to the spiral. And I think it's just a case of watching it as you do it as well, because you can see as it comes out your piping bag a bit heavier or a bit lighter. There we go. And now I'm just going to squeeze it back down to the bottom of the bag and put some in the spiral as well. Now, as we add more colours, I think this is going to be a lot more difficult. And the risk is here is I think that centre is going to be quite heavy, because there's going to be quite a lot of colours going in. But I do want them all in there, so again, we'll see what happens. That's my pink. Now for the chameleon-y blue. And I can see that it's starting to move already, which in a way is a good thing, but in a way it's not, because I've still got a few colours to get in here. I'm definitely going to be sharpening these scissors before the next video. Right, so the chameleon-y blue is pretty much ready, but it's coming out in a weird way, so we'll see. So again, I'm going to start off here. And I want a circle. This is the one I'm worried about because it feels heavier as it's going in. A lot heavier than that pink, for example. Just trying to move it around as soon as it touches that surface to give us that circle. And I've got a feeling that even if I do get blobs on this, it's still going to look really cool. So I'm not overly concerned, he says. And I don't know if I'm going to fit all of these colours into this design, but I'm going to try. Again, just trying to make sure it's reasonably even in each of these outer blooms. And the problem is with this chameleon one is, I think depending on the chameleon-y bits that give you the shine, comes out heavier and lighter, but we'll see. That's that. And now for into the spiral. And again, at this point, I know it's going to all be overlapping and not necessarily give me the exact neat spirals that I'm used to. And I'm just a little bit concerned about a couple of those bits that came out there. So this one here and this one here. So I'm just going to move it again and see what happens. Next, we've got the copper. And I can already see it pulling in. So hopefully we're going to get some kind of effect. And that's coming out lovely. So again, I'm going to try and get a thin circle inside the blue circle. Now, as these circles get smaller, it's getting harder. As you can see. But I'm still going to persist. And I've still got just enough for that gold centre that I wanted, I think. We will see. Now I can see the edge already where it's pulling in a little bit, so I'm going to use some of this for that as well, which you'll see in a minute. And I don't think I'm going to get that gold centre in all of these. But I don't know what effect we're going to get anyway. It could all just merge. Now, because I can see, as I say, there's a little bit of space coming now on these edges, I'm just going to put a few little circles around. Not too many, but I just want to see what happens. Just where I can see a lot of the transparent edge. Because why not? I've already mixed the resin. Being careful not to touch the white though, because I think that could spoil the natural petal look that I've got, if I have got one. And this again, it's off the cusp. It's straight out of my mind as I'm doing it. Here we go. So that's that. And then finally, oh, I haven't done the spiral. So again, I want this to be quite thin, hopefully. And just add some into this as well. And this is my concern here. This spiral's starting to look a little bit heavy. And we're not even at the gold yet. So this is the final one. Here we go. And don't do what I've done. Sharpen your scissors before you do it. Because otherwise it makes this an absolute pain. And all the time I'm running out of time. Right, it's coming out. So, again, I'm going to try and get at least a dot. And that's all I want in each of these centres of this gold. And I'm almost just touching that resin with the bag, because it doesn't want to come out on its own into a nice little droplet, which is annoying. But I still think it'll give us a good effect. Hopefully. So we should have a little golden centre in these. Again, I don't want it to be too big a dot though, because again, that's just asking for trouble. Oops. That wasn't really a dot, it ended up being a swirl, but resin does what resin does. There we go. So they've all got a little bit of the gold in, and now I'm going to go around these edges as well. Just put a little tiny bit more gold into these. And again, these ones on the edge, they're not coming out very well. I'm just hoping it doesn't spoil the overall design, especially with it being an afterthought. I can see the petals forming, which at least means we'll get something, hopefully. And again, this is for me the best bit of resin. It's just having fun with it. Right, do I go in the centre with the gold as well? I think I've got to. Here we go. Just a little bit of that gold shimmering through, hopefully. And as you can see, it's coming out very differently now because it's got warmer, which means the resin has thickened up. Right, so there's that. Now I'm going to go around the edges a little bit more, just with a bit more of these colours, just because I've still got the resin and it should still move. So again, these are almost like just little dots I'm going to put in there. But I do need to get to doing that spiral as well. So in fact, I'm going to stop what I'm doing and do that first. So in the centre, I'm going to try and do it as slowly as possible as to not disturb everything else. But same as always, just pulling it in. Hopefully creating some petals. In there, which will give us almost two different flowers, hopefully, in this bloom and do a swirl it. I'm just going to give it a tiny swirl, smack bang in the centre like so. There, that looks pretty. And now I'm going to continue playing with the edge, where it's still hopefully going to pull in a little bit. But as I say, I can really feel that this resin's starting to thicken up now. So I'm just going to go around this, no particular order now, and put some of these dots around. Some in the centre of the gold as well, I don't mind. And this is probably where I'm spoiling the whole effect. But you don't know unless you try. And I'll probably find that there'll be some effects in this that I love and some that I don't. So I've learnt for next time. It's the blue, a bit more of the pink, I think, just going around the edges as well. So we've got that colour consistency, I suppose. Again, just putting a blob, use the word. And what I'm going to do is try and join these blues with this pink, but as you can see, it's already thickening up quite a bit, which is quite worrying at this point. It's almost like I'm piping in little petals to just combine everything now. And who knows what it will create. And in fact, I'm just going to go around the whole edge. When it pulls in, it will give me a different look anyway. So there's that. Do I want to go around the edge with the copper? Probably not. I am going to do a bit more of the blue, if I can get it out. It's really thickening up now. So I don't know if this is a mistake. Let me know what you think in comments. It probably is. All of that concentration that I put into the first bit is probably being ruined by this bit. We'll see. I'm just pulling that round. And then a tiny bit of this gold, just because I love the gold. Just going around, so it's going to create some sort of longer goldish petals. Just right on the edge. And this, as I say, I'm just hoping it works. But it will certainly be unique. I've never done a bloom this way, and probably never will again. And I'm hoping we just get a very different look, just by playing around with the resin. And this resin really doesn't want to come out the piping bag now, which tells me that it's definitely thickening up. But I just want to put a few more bits in around this edge. There we go. I think that's it. I'm going to leave it. Whatever happens now is going to happen. Got a drip mold to the side. And I'm just going to fill that up with my leftover resin, hopefully. You never want to waste it. And just be careful if you ever do this not to drop your piping bag back into your mould, your flower, your bloom. Trust me, I've done that before as well. And then it's some pink. Oh, and there we go. I made the bag explode there. I'm just glad that that didn't happen over the bloom. Applied a little bit too much pressure, I think. Now I'm just going to fill this one up with the white and then see what I can do with what I've got left. And this is a drip mold that I've been filling up for about 2 months now. So I'm really curious as to what it's going to look like when I demold it, which should be tomorrow at the same time as this bloom. Now, because that is pretty much full to the brim now. Now I've still got some tiny bits of this resin left. What small molds have I got next to me? I don't think it will fill a turtle, but I have got a few teddy bear molds knocking around. Let's just use one of my jewellery molds to use up the last bits. Might try and make some space on my surface. There we go. So everybody likes some hearts. Let's do a couple of hearts in there. So we've got some of that copper in that one. And let's do a couple of the big cabochons as well. Again, I don't know what this is going to turn out like, but it's better than wasting the resin. Bit of the copper in that one as well. Have I got some gold left? I've got a tiny bit in here. In fact, I'm going to fast forward past this part and we can come back at demold. So just going to zoom you in now, guys, so you can see what we've got. And it looks interesting is what I'll say. But we won't know what it looks like properly until tomorrow when it cures. So don't forget, like and subscribe to the channel. QR code's just there if you're watching on the telly. And I'll see you tomorrow for demold. Hey everyone, and I'm back, and it's been probably about 5 hours, so this should be starting to cure up now, and it's a really interesting design. So I decided I'm going to put it back on it. So I've just mixed up 80 ml of resin. I'm going to put in some of this black pigment dye to give us a nice dark black colour, and then I'm going to add some glitter to it as well to give it hopefully a bit of a sparkle coming through underneath that bloom. So just mixing that black pigment all the way through. So we've got that lovely glossy black shine. And then I've got some purple chameleon glitter, which I think looks really cool. So I'm just going to add some of that to it, pour it, and then we're going to be ready to demold tomorrow. So this is that chameleon glitter, if you can see. Really nice, sparkly purple. And I don't know how much I'm going to put in. I'm not going to measure it. I'm just going to put a decent amount. So it's still really, really dark. But hopefully some of this glitter will settle on the bottom and give us a really cool effect in this bloom. But as I say, it's all an experiment at this point, and I'm just hoping the front looks as good as that back because it looks really interesting to me. So just mixing it all around, making sure that glitter's nicely mixed in as well. And then I'm literally going to pour it all in. Hopefully that glitter's going to settle at the front a little bit. And we'll get a really nice finish on it. At the minute, it just looks black. But as I say, I'm hopeful that that glitter is going to come through, sink down a little bit into the mould. So here we go. And I want it to be full. There we go. And that is pretty much full, but I've got a tiny bit of this glitter left. So, you know what? I've got these moulds out. I might as well fill them. Some of these jewellery moulds at the side. And just see what this black and glitter comes out like. but I'm really hopeful for this, but we won't know until tomorrow, because this is all going to depend on if that front has worked out or not, basically. I'm hoping it has, but at this point, your guess is as good as mine. And sometimes when you put it back on, it actually ruins the piece. So I'm hoping that isn't the case here. And I'm hoping we get a really cool effect. But as I say, with resin, it will do what it wants to do. And there's no way of telling until you demold. So I'm just going to torch off any excess bubbles, because there's probably going to be a couple of bubbles in this because of the glitter. As you can see, trying not to get too close to the mold, because this mold took ages to make. And the last thing I want to do is ruin it. So there we go. Come back tomorrow, demold, and we'll see how we get on. But don't forget, like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for demold. Hey everyone, welcome back, and it's the next day, and it's time to demold these, and it's going to be a bit of a longer demold, so apologies for that. But look at these. I love the backs anyway, with the that just mixed spare resin that's gone in. So let's have a look. This is just the plain black ones, which I suppose has just come out plain and black with a hint of purple from that glitter. So what I'm going to repurpose those into, I don't know yet. But hopefully it will have given us an interesting background. So that's those. Let's do these circles as well. Loving that. But turn them around. Again, colourful, but I actually prefer that side. So again, what I'm going to repurpose those into, I don't know. Same with this one. Lovely on that side. And again, it's different. And I'm sure I'm going to be able to do something with them, even if I don't know what yet. The hearts. Great little pocket hugs, I'm sure. And you've just got that colour on both sides. And again, as a pocket hug, I think you'd just be looking at that side for ages. How they've all mixed together. So that's the heart. And again, it was just spare resin. So it's just, for me, it's a great way to use them. Just throw them in, make some cabochons, and see what happens. Look at that. Almost like a little stick man there. And all these colours coming off around the sides. So it's amazing what you can see in these sometimes. Let me know if you see something different. And this one's almost like an eye. If that slit had been in the centre, I think that would make it a great eye. Maybe it's a butterfly or a dragonfly. Who knows? Could be anything. And there's that side as well. So again, liking them. To say they were just spare resin. So that's those. I'm going to leave the bloom till last, because that's the one, hopefully that'll be the best. So this is that drip mold, and I've been waiting about 6 weeks for this to finally fill. All of that spare resin I've had at the end of each project has just got into it to fill it, and I'm guessing it's kind of a succulent holder. So finally I get to demold it. And it's the first time I've actually used this mould as well. So I've used it as a drip mould. So I've got a feeling it's going to be quite a pain to demold. And it is. I have seen some people use like a water technique or alcohol to spray into these moulds as well. But I'm one of those people that just uses brute force until it comes out. And eventually it will come out. So here we go. That seems to be coming out better. There we go. So before we have a look at him, just pop the mould back the right way around, otherwise it will deform. So there we go. There's that mould. And there's the inside. Wow, look at that. That is so cool. And it's part of 3, so I've got see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. And with the hands are obviously in different places. This is hear no evil. So, but I absolutely love that. Say it's a drip mold. I think it's come out really cool. Even looks like it's got like little blood splatters on the teeth. Let me know what you think in comments. But again, having a... I'm hoping that that is about the right size as well for one of my succulents. Let's have a look at one of my succulents. They probably need watering, actually. But most of the succulent pots I find are slightly too small. But will that go in? It will. Look at that, eh? He's got a cactus growing out of his head now. So absolutely love that. And it's much better than a standard pot from IKEA. So there we go. That is the drip skull. So far, pretty successful. Now, this is where I'm getting a little bit worried because the bloom, as we all know, some of them work great and some of them don't. But let's just go for it and see what happens. Come out the mold okay. And I'm just going to flip this straight round. But before I do, if you haven't already, do me a favour, like and subscribe to the channel. It's the only way we can keep growing. And if you've liked the content, share it, you know, let others see it, because at the minute, that's the best way to get it in front of other people and we keep growing the channel. So here we go. Wow. It's different. And I love the 3D effect in this. And you can just see on some of these outer ones, it's almost kept that canna lily design. But it's very different. And I don't think there's too much blobbing on it. There's a little tiny bit where it's gone a bit heavier. But do you know what? That is probably one of my more unique blooms. I don't think I've done one like it before. And I think, if I'm being honest, I probably tried to fit too much in such a small space, because this is just a standard size coaster. But do you know what? I love it. I think it's turned out really well. I love the white as well. I used the Supreme White rather than the Ocean White. And I think it just gives a more vibrant white from Apex Resin. Look at that. I can see like a little lily there. Little one there. That one has come out really cool. These ones as well on the outskirts. And do you know what? The centre's not too bad either. So it's not perfect, don't get me wrong. But it's interesting, which is what I'm always looking for. So again, let me know what you think in comments. I'll get you some close-up shots. And do me a favour, like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you on the next one.
Welcome to our custom space where dreams take flight. A positive visions coming to life. It's a perfect sight. We born together, blooming free, resin family. Testing my God's new creations. We set them free. Join our journey, like and subscribe. This is our place. Ocean seas to dragons and blooms we carve with grace. Welcome to custom carving, where dreams come true. Epoxy magic flowing just for me and you. Masterpieces rising, crafted with our hands. Testing new colors, in the spotlight.